Shana Tova, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Pathways 5781. It's Sharon and my goal this evening to make sure that everybody knows all of the different programs and options and things you need to do in order to engage more fully with this year's High Holy Days. We're going to dive right into it, and there's basically three parts to this evening. The first one, we're going to cover the High Holy Days, and throughout this evening, I'm going to be putting links into the chat box so that when I say, for example, did you sign up for a bag? If you haven't done so, you can actually do it right now. Or if you haven't signed up for an opportunity to come into the sanctuary for our Sacred Space program, you can actually sign up for it as we speak. So we'll cover some of the options for the High Holy Days. Then we'll also cover our Zman Kodesh and ongoing programs. And then finally, adult education. I'm hoping the whole evening will last roughly about an hour or so. Are you guys ready? Are you pumped? Are you excited? Either way, we're going to keep moving forward. So here we go. So we're taking a look at the High Holy Days. It goes without say that, of course, this year's High Holy Days are going to be different than anything before. And yet there are so many things you can do to still make it meaningful and engaging. So we'll start out with some of our options. The first thing, if you haven't already done so, Temple Emanu-El is giving out bags or kits to everyone we're giving out kits, hopefully, to the entire congregation. And in this kit, you have all the things that you need to bring the holidays into your house. That includes a guide that tells you which pages we're going to be on, where you can find the services, the links, the schedule. There's a magnet that has candle lighting times, a Mizrach sign, a yahrzeit candle, apples and honey. So many things to make the holiday come alive and be more meaningful. So what I'm going to do is actually, if you haven't already registered for the bag, if you are not one of the 300 people who have registered for one, what I'll do is I'll paste a copy of the link into the chat box. And that way, if you haven't done so, you can actually do it right now. 1 second. Oh, that's the wrong place. Everyone in the
And if
meeting.
you're not able to come pick it up, you can request to have it delivered, or we'll mail them out. I know, Ron, you live in Massachusetts, so.
Sweet. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You'll be good to know that I believe tomorrow morning, all the bags that are going out of state to Florida, New York, Massachusetts, I think they're all getting put in the mail. If you have your copy of the Temple Emanu-El Happenings magazine for September or October, it might be helpful to have a copy on it so you can sort of follow along and see all of the options. This Saturday night begins, is Slichot, which is the next step in sort of accessing the High Holiday Liturgy. And so we'll begin at the end of Shabbat at 8:15 by doing Havdalah, as we've been doing for the past couple weeks. And then at 8:30, the conservative movement is working together. Just give me a thumbs up to make sure you can still see this flyer. Slichot Night Live. It's a program all over the country that brings, I think, over 60 different rabbis and cantors who will be presenting about the High Holidays and singing and their lessons and teachings and things like that. In order to access all the programs, you have to register for it. It's free, but you can click on this registration form and fill it out, and then they will email you the links so you can figure out exactly which classes or programs or performances you want to attend. And I'm going to go ahead and take that link and put it right in the chat room. So if you haven't done it, this is a great opportunity to sign up right now to make sure you are ready to participate in Slichot on Saturday night. We're coming out. Okay. So let's start diving right. That's this Saturday night. On Sunday night, September 13th, this is for families with young children. Our own Ronnie Gutton and folks and the Temple Emanu-El clergy will be gathering so that we can guide you through how to create at-home experiences for kids and for families. And that's this Sunday at 8 o'clock. So everyone gets ready and can conceptualize what the High Holidays look like. We have two different types of technology. We have Zoom, which allows us to see each other and interact in this format. And we also have our live stream. When we use our live stream, it allows us to have better video quality, better audio quality. It allows us to have a split screen. And so each approach has its own benefits and its own shortcomings. And we're going to be using these two technologies at different points over the High Holy Days. We'll start on Friday night, September 18th, with a new program called High Holy Days, H-I apostrophe. And the idea is many people lament the fact that we can't be together on the high holidays. We can't actually see each other and say hello. And so from 5 o'clock to 5:45, we'll have a short program with some teachings, with some music. And then after that, there'll be multiple rooms set up on Zoom so you can go around and say hi to your friends. And one of the ideas is for part of the program, we're going to have different rooms called like the meeting house foyer, the left side of the sanctuary, the right side of the sanctuary. And so ideally you can go where you normally sit and see the friends who you normally see during that particular point in the service. But the idea is to find a way for us to interact and say hello and to connect and do a little bit of learning before we then shift to the live stream service. And when it comes to our services, they have different configurations. We have the combined service, which is basically all of the clergy working together, and there's one service that night. And then there's also separate services like we've always had. There's the sanctuary service, and there's the meeting house service, and there's soulful service. And so when you look at the schedule, you'll see, for example, on Erev Rosh Hashanah, it's the combined service, and we'll start on the live stream, and it goes from about 6:15 to about 7:30 or so. If you've never been to our Erev Rosh Hashanah services, I think it is a fantastic service because it's you get the classic melodies of the High Holy Days, a service where you might know a lot of the liturgy, and you get a short sermon, and you get all of that in about an hour or so. It also means that the last thing you do in 5780 is you do mincha, and the first thing you do in 5780 is you do mariv. So it means you're already 1,000%, or you're hitting 1,000% for davening in the new year. So that's Friday night, and I hope you'll join us on September 18th. Rosh Hashanah day 1 will start a little bit earlier than normal at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock is the beginning of Birchot HaShachar. 8:10 we'll start Pesukei de Zimra, and then we'll keep going through the service. In our combined service, I believe Rabbi Zarin will be doing most of the davening, and so you'll have a chance to hear her lead. And I want to point out that the Torah service begins at 9 o'clock in the morning. For those people who typically like to go to shul at, they come around 10:30, 10:45, because they figure that's when they can catch the Torah service. If you want to catch that, you have to come a little bit earlier. And recognizing we'll be using the virtual format, instead of just reading straight through the Torah reading, the idea is to create questions and point things out in the reading to make it feel a little bit more dynamic, a little more interesting. Cantor Meir is going to be doing a lot of the laning, and so you'll be able to hear the high holiday Torah trope, but also hear it in a dramatic, biblio-drama-esque kind of way. And so that's at 9 o'clock. That's when the Torah service begins. And then at 10:15, we'll actually transition from one service to two services. At 10:15, we'll do the private Amidah, each of us in whatever service we want. And then at 10:30, you'll have a chance to either attend the meeting house service led by Rabbi Zarin, or continue with the sanctuary service led by Cantor Meir and myself. And so that way, even though some of the technology is different, you'll still be able to have those kinds of experiences. At 11:45, we'll all come back together into the combined service where I will give the sermon for day 1, and hopefully we will conclude by 12:15. And the idea is on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I'll be giving the sermon, and on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Zarin will give the sermon, and so that way you have a chance to hear from both rabbis, regardless of what your service preference happens to be. Second day, also on first day Rosh Hashanah, you can actually, if you can't use the internet, we'll actually have a program on public access television from 10:30 to 11:30 on Shabbat morning, and from 11 to 12 o'clock. Each of them is a little bit different, but it's highlights of the High Holy Day services. So we are on live stream. You can dial in by phone, and you can also watch, not the service, but a pre-recorded program on the television. Rosh Hashanah Day 2 is the timing is the same, but instead of having two services on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, will be combined for the whole service. And on the second day, Cantor Meir will lead Musaf, bringing many of the melodies from the meeting house into the sanctuary, fewer choral arrangements, and it really is, and some new melodies as well. So it's sort of an altogether new experience. And as I mentioned, Rabbi Zern will give her sermon at 11:45. Now this, my friends, is exciting and different. This year, although we will blow shofar on the second day of Rosh Hashanah on the live stream, at 3 o'clock we are gathering, I think it's 11 different locations in Pawtucket, Providence, Warwick, Cranston, and Barrington. And some of those sites, we'll be distributing a map next week so people can see the locations. But the idea is at 3 o'clock, you make your way to a corner, and you can find out what those corners are at 3 o'clock. The shofar blower will come out, say the bracha, blow the shofar, 30 sounds, turn around, and go right back into their house. This is not meant to be that we all hang out and schmooze for a half hour. This is meant to be a quick, we get together, we get to see each other, wish each other a Shana Tova, sound the shofar, which is a mitzvah, and then we all go back to our homes. And so we're blowing this all over Rhode Island, and we're really excited that we're able to put something like this together. And then we'll continue with Mincha and Mariv, and our concluding blessing around 7:25 p.m. If you have any questions about the services or the programs, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat box, and so I can answer them as we go along. That's Tekiah in your town, like I mentioned, 5 different cities and 11 different shofar blowers. So that's just Rosh Hashanah. We then move into the days in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. One of the programs that we've put together is a program that we're calling Sacred Space. For those who want an in-person experience, you can actually sign up for different slots during the days in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and have the opportunity to come into the sanctuary and to have a few moments of reflection, a few moments of contemplation and reflection. So you can still come to shul. Even if it's not for the full service, you can still come and sign up. If this is something that you'd like to do, don't delay, but I want to show you what it looks like to come to this program. If you go to the site, and I'll go ahead and put it in the chat box right over there, and I'll also put it up on my screen, you'll notice there is a sign-up genius for our Sacred Space program. And you can already see that people have signed up for the slots. They are 20-minute slots with a 10-minute break in between. And I believe we're up to about 30 different member households have come up to sign up. So if you haven't done so yet, you should take advantage of this program and still sign up so you can come in and still come into the building. Just as we did on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, there will be a pre-recorded, I'm sorry, we haven't gone to Yom Kippur yet. Why is it there? Let's skip this. Okay. For Yom Kippur, there is going to be on television from 5 to 5:30, taste of highlights from the Erev Yom Kippur evening service, and that will include Kol Nidre and some other highlights. And then there's another pre-recorded program on Monday morning where you can we'll have a Yisker service as well. So we'll look at Yom Kippur. Again, there will be 2 services on Kol Nidre night. You'll have the classic sanctuary service as well as the meeting house service, both running concurrently. I neglected to mention that there's a practice of visiting the cemetery in between the days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And at 10 a.m., I will be officiating at a small get-together outside at Lincoln Park Cemetery, and I also will be Zooming it. So if you can't make it out to the cemetery, you can still participate in that small memorial service at 10 a.m. And then at 6 o'clock, we kick off Yom Kippur with Kol Nidre, and then the service is following after that. In the morning, similar to Rosh Hashanah, we'll begin with a combined service, and will be combined for most of the morning, starting at 9 a.m., flowing into the Torah service, the Avoda service, the Martyrology. And during that time, we'll have a chance to reflect on loss in our day, to try to make it a little bit more relevant, a little bit more personal. And then at 11:45-ish, we'll have Yisker, and I also will be giving a sermon at 11:45. And then at around 12:30, we once again will split up, and you'll have 2 options. You can go either to the classic meeting house service or the classic sanctuary service. We'll take a pause at around 2:15, and then at 4 o'clock, we'll begin again once again for Mincha, and at 7:15 our concluding shofar blasts. Any questions, comments so far, things you want to know? I hope this is helpful. Maybe things become a little clearer when we have a chance to go through this. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. So now Yom Kippur is finished. We've already broken the fast, but the creative programming continues at Temple Emanu-El, because although we can't come into our sukkah during the holiday, we are bringing our sukkah out on the road. And we've purchased these 2 sukkot that you can kind of take a look. This is the one that we used 2 years ago at my old synagogue. And we'll be in Providence and in Cranston and Barrington and Warwick and Lincoln, all over Rhode Island. And details will come out shortly of where you can find us. But the idea is you can come during Chol HaMoed, the days in between Rosh Hashanah, the days in between of the intermediate days of Sukkot, and have a chance to come into a sukkah and make a blessing and also shake the lulav and the etrog. And so I don't know how often you've seen a sukkah roaming around Rhode Island, but Temple Emanu-El is doing it this year. And I hope that brings you not only a smile to your face, but also makes you proud of the shul as well. On Simchat Torah itself, and during the days of Sukkot, we are hosting a program called Trekking Through the Torah, where traditionally on Simchat Torah, we celebrate the concluding and starting the Torah once again. And although we can't do that in person, we're giving everyone an opportunity to walk through the entire Torah. And the idea is to create like a path or a path around the synagogue of homes within about a half mile of the shul, where every house will have a yard sign. And on that yard sign will be a Torah portion and a summary, a 2-sentence summary of that particular parsha. And so we're hoping that people will gather with their friends, with their family, and they'll have a chance to walk through the entire Torah. And so again, you see this approach of having virtual services or virtual programs, and then also having in-person experiences as well. If you live within a half a mile of the shul, or pretty close to a half a mile to the shul, and you want to volunteer to have a yard sign put on your house, I invite you to go ahead and click on this link and let us know. Okay, we'll put that there. 1 second. Okay, and as a reminder as well, if you don't want to walk the path of all the different shuls, of all the different yard signs, you can also drive around as well. But the idea is you can do that during the day, in a way of observing Sukkot, so that you have a Simchat Torah, so you can still have that peace. We're also in between services. We're hoping to allow people to still see their friends. If you can't see them live, you can see them at least through pictures. And so we're hoping that people will email pictures of their families or pictures from smachot, from joyous occasions. You can email photos@teprov.org. You can see it down here. And just email them a picture of your family so that while we're waiting for services to start, there will be a loop showing all of these pictures. And so it's a nice way of a few minutes before services, you can say, there's Naomi. There's so-and-so. It's a nice thing that you can do. Okay, so again, you can email photos@teprov.org. We've revamped our website, and so there's a couple of resources that I want to show you. If you visit teprov.org, you'll notice that we've, first of all, updated it in general, but we've also made it much easier to access everything. If you scroll down, you'll see here it says High Holidays 5781. You can click on that, and there you can actually see some resources, including a guide to praying without a minyan. So if you are someone who says, you know what, I just want to gather in my backyard and do something with my friends, maybe with my family, this actually outlines what a service could look like, recognizing that you don't have a minyan, and what prayers you should skip, what prayers you could include, etc., etc. And on top, didn't mean to close that. And if you go back, 1 second. You can also find the High Holy Day service outline. So if you are following along from home, this actually tells you a rough outline of the service, where we're moving to in the service, what pages we're skipping, what pages we're including. It might not be exact, but it gives you an idea of what the service itself looks like, and that might be helpful, especially when you tune in to know what's coming. You can also see here links to different programs, including how to register for our sacred space, the Tashlich in your town, and things like that. In terms of accessing our services, you can go up here and click on Connect Online. We've made this a little bit easier. You click there, and there you'll actually be able to see all of our services right over here. And you can also find our Shabbat morning services are available over here. I believe for the high holidays, we're actually tweaking our website a little bit. So when you log on the high holy days, there's going to be a big graphic that says, watch our services by clicking here. So it'll make it even easier for people to connect with the programming at the synagogue. We'll go back to our slideshow. Okay, great. Before, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Before I continue, any questions, comments, things you're curious about? Does all of this make sense? Yeah, great. Sharon, am I missing anything? I feel like this is, I hope things are becoming a little more crystal clear. Is this helpful?
You're doing a great job.
A little, all right. So then I'll keep going. All right. So we'll go here and.
Oh, Naomi had a question.
Sure, go for it, Naomi. If you can unmute yourself.
I put it in the chat, but you ignored it.
Oh, so I didn't mean to ignore it. Sorry about that. Let's see what it says here.
Well, I was just saying, you know, like around the Christmas or New Year's, they show on TV just a crackling fire. You can sit and watch it.
Yeah.
We just have a view of the sanctuary that we can turn on and sit there in our own homes.
I need to think about technologically, how could we do that? Do we just leave the lights on and you could just see the sanctuary overnight? Do we put? I don't know. I'm gonna make it. I will look it up. How does that sound?
Okay.
Excellent.
And if you could have the fire going at the same time, that would be good.
Well, the Ner Tamid is on, so we'll have the eternal light, the eternal flame. So maybe that can be like a combination. It'll be like the eternal Yuletide log or something along those lines.
Oh, quick. You're
Okay, so that's about high holy days and some of these options. I want to just talk about ongoing programs that people should know that we're doing. Even though we can't gather in the building, every morning and afternoon, we have our daily Zman Kodesh, daily Minyan alternative experience, which in the mornings is a 30-minute Shachrit service with about 10 minutes of either Torah reading or learning or different kinds of ways of connecting with other people. I am so proud to acknowledge that whereas before COVID, we were getting maybe 10, 12 people coming to morning Minyan, we're now getting closer to about 20 to 25 every morning. And so if you haven't been a Minyan regular, but you want to see what it's like, I invite you to come and join us and be part of that experience. And we've really created a nice little chevra, a nice community that gathers every morning to do our services, and then in the afternoon as well. On Friday nights, we live stream our services onto Facebook, and we're also on Zoom. And we bring in Shabbat together. And what's been really nice is throughout the entire summer, which is typically a quiet period, we've been getting 40 to 50 computers logging on every Friday night, which to have those kinds of numbers consistently means clearly there's something that resonates with people. There's a little bit of English teaching. We're starting to bring in some new melodies, as well as some classic melodies, as well as some Israeli songs that some of us perhaps grew up singing either at camp or at services. So there's something for everyone, and those services are available on the live stream. Either on Zoom or on Facebook. And as winter starts a little bit earlier, we're figuring out what to do. You'll notice that we're going to start doing Kabbalat Shabbat a little bit earlier, so it coincides with candle lighting. And then we'll see how early we can go without losing a critical mass. There's something really nice about using Zoom where you can see other people, you can connect with them instead of using the live stream. On Shabbat mornings, we're using our live stream. And again, over the summer, we were averaging between 60 and 80 households logging in and watching. And for the middle of the summer to have around 100 people or so coming to shul feels really great. And we've really upped our game in terms of having better audio and better video and a split screen and things like that to make the services more engaging and accessible. And then, of course, on Saturday nights, we always do Havdalah on Zoom. There are also other programs taking place regularly. On Tuesdays, there's a knitting circle with Ronnie, where people bring their needles. What do you do? How do you knit your needles? Yes, yeah, you bring your knitting needles, I suppose, and people can knit together and show off and talk. And then on Sunday evenings, we're also having game nights. And in our 5781 Yom Tov holiday kits, there was actually a bingo. There are bingo cards this year because we hope to have a game of bingo at some point. What date are we doing that?
It's on Sunday night, October 25th.
So mark your calendars, and we'll even give you the center square for free, I believe. So
Right,
that's
yeah.
So we'll have bingo nights, and we'll keep experimenting. There are different platforms we can use. So we can still do trivia, but we can also do other games as well. Finally, adult education. A lot of stuff going on. You can learn almost every single day of the week this year. On Monday nights, starting in November, we'll have an introduction to Hebrew, decoding the Aleph Bet. And you can see the program. It's basically it's 4 Mondays where you'll have a chance to learn. I think last time we offered this class, I think we had 20 or 30 people sign up. So if you say, I've always wanted to become a better Hebrew decoder, Monday nights is your night. On Tuesday nights, our Delve Deeper program, which is a adult education course, college level course, is being taught this year by Professor Michael Satlow, and he is teaching the lost books of the Bible. And so this class, so you can see the description, they'll be looking at books from the 3rd to 1st century. In the 3rd to 1st centuries BCE, Jews wrote a number of books that, although were in biblical style, did not actually make it into our canon. And so we'll be looking at some of those books. I believe we're up to about 19 people have already registered for this course, but this is a high-level, college-level course. And as a reminder, there are always scholarships available. So don't let cost be a barrier to participating. And also on Tuesday nights, teaching at the same time as Michael Satlow's class, and I'm also teaching it on Wednesdays during lunchtime. We'll be doing an I Engage class, and I want to show you a video of what this program, what the class looks like. And what's really nice about it is that there's trigger films, and you'll see what the class is about in just a moment. And you should
Hartman Institute. It creates new narratives about Jewish peoplehood and about the relationship between Israel
Stand by. Give me a
and
thumbs up
world
if you can hear the audio.
through values-based and text-based conversations. Together and Apart is a new iEngage course that includes 14 units of filmed lectures and interviews, a source book, and a leader's guide. These resources are designed to help rabbis and educators facilitate nuanced, values-based conversations about Jewish peoplehood and Israel in their local communities. The course explores the vital challenges and opportunities of Jewish peoplehood in our time.
The iEngage methodology is grounded in an aspirational, values-driven discourse, which works to identify and develop values which we can share while respecting our diverse political and ideological positions. Our aim is to create a conversation that transcends partisan divides and which goes to our underlying values instead of their political manifestations. In this series, we will embark on an exploration of the concepts of Jewish people, its most significant contemporary challenges and stumbling blocks, and finally, attempt to suggest different meta-narratives that can unite the Jewish people today.
How do the Jewish people come home? What does it feel like, and how does it obligate us? And most importantly for our purposes, how do we deal with the fact that we have arrived at home both in Israel and in North America?
I found that when we were able actually to come back to our shared text, that there was a way that we could connect to our peoplehood in a way that was beyond politics, beyond religious ritual, and it reminded us of our shared story. And with that shared Jewish memory, I think that we can build our peoplehood.
The challenge in a consumerist environment is whether people will make that commitment, the time that it takes to do the learning and the dialogue.
I think the goal for peoplehood is not winning in the short term. It's actually playing the long game.
If we're going to be together, despite the fact that we are apart, we need to recognize not only that we have multiple homes, but that neither of us is the parent and the other the child.
The hundreds of communities who have studied iEngage courses in the past know that iEngage is a transformative tool for creating a different kind of Israel and Jewish peoplehood conversation. The Together and Apart curriculum empowers rabbis and educators to lead study and dialogue about timely and complex issues facing the Jewish people. Through the Hartman methodology of text-based and values-based learning, the courses create an open-minded, pluralistic, and nuanced conversation about Jewish challenges and opportunities in an era of power and prosperity in two central homes. We invite you to join the conversation. For more information and to order Together and Apart, please visit shalomhartman.org/togetherapart.
How was that for a pretty good commercial? Yeah. If you want to engage in that class, you can see a flyer coming out for it. I believe after in the next couple of weeks, I think you should be seeing a class for that. All right, friends, stick with me because there's so much going on at the shul. So we have Monday night is decoding the Aleph Bet. Tuesday night is Professor Satlow and my class. Wednesday lunchtime is also my class. And on Wednesday nights, there's also our Mishnah Beit Midrash where Rabbi Zarin and Chava de Cordova you'll be able to study traditional Jewish text in the original language. And so the idea is to go slowly through the text and discover its meaning and ask these big questions of Masechet Pesachim, and as a chance to learn. So there's Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. I think Thursday we're taking a break for a little bit. And then, I know, because Thursday night is our reintroduction to Judaism class, where we have a chance to cover core concepts and Jewish fundamentals. And that's on Thursday night. Friday morning is Rabbi Confer's Parsha class. On Shabbat, you get to learn as part of the sermon. And then on Sunday morning, you get to do Daf Yomi with me as part of our Zman Kodesh session. So you can learn 7 days a week at Temple Emanu-El, and it feels good to be able to say that. Any questions, comments, things you want to know? I know I just gave you all a lot of information. I know I gave you a quick sort of like sweep of everything that we're doing over the next couple of weeks. And that's not even everything. That's the crazy part. Any questions, observations, comments, things you want me to clarify? Nothing?
You must have done a really good job if there's no questions.